All right. Hello, everybody. Hello, us. Hello, doors. Welcome back to Witch on the Holy Night, aka Mahoyo. My voice is 75% back, so given that Mahoyo is not exactly a high impact series right now, anyway, because it was for a while there, I figured that I'll go and give it a shot continuing, since we're mostly doing lore right now. So, last time, Aoko and Alice were explaining everything about the world of magic to Soujirouu, especially about the Mages Association, the policing body of witches, which basically is the one setting the rules that they have to kill the mortals. And they're also their basically plan is to have him live there for a couple of months until they can prepare a way to change his memory, because that's apparently a difficult thing to do in this world. And until then, he's going to live here under house arrest. We don't know. I don't remember if they said if he can go to school or not. All right, let's get back on track.
Soujirouuの疑問だけどね。魔術師もいろいろあって、教会に属していない連中もいるの。
To your earlier question, for various reasons, there are mages that don't belong to the association at all.
こういった連中は教会の目を盗んでやりたい放題で、利益目的で他の魔術師に喧嘩を売ってくる。あの人形の持ち主もその類。
They do as they please behind the association's back and fight other mages for their personal gain. That puppet master is one of those types.
そんな連中にとって、私たちは都合のいい格好のカモなのよ。
To those jerkwads, we're a convenient, easy target.
私たちは教会と協定関係にあるだけで、門下ってわけじゃないから。私たちが殺されたところで、教会は助けてくれないしね。
But just because we have an arrangement with the association doesn't mean we're one of them. It's not like they'll come to save the day if we're at risk of being killed. I wonder what benefits there is to being a part of the association then.
でも、魔術師が魔術を使うのは禁じてるんだろ?
But aren't mages forbidden from using magecraft?
それが公にならないのなら、教会は目をつむるわ。
As long as it's not in public, the association turns a blind eye.
むしろ、バレなければ魔術師同士の争いを奨励してるぐらいよ。技術も使わないと錆びるってね。
Heck, they practically encourage fights between mages, as long as it's kept a secret. Like if we don't use it, we'll get rusty or something.
ま、私たちが襲われてるのはそれとは別の話で、単に土地を持ってるからなんだけど。
Anyway, the attack's on us a different story, and have to do with the fact that we own land.
土地ってこの家?
By land, do you mean this house?
まさか。この三崎市一帯の管理地の権利を持ってるのよ。私とアリスは。
Really? Shh. Oh, please. Just this house? Alice and I hold the rights to the entirety of Misaki City. We're administrators of the whole region.
管理地って、つまり土地の利権?
Wow.
Administrators? You own all the land in Misaki?
Oh my god. Dazzled, Soujirouu looked away. He was sure he could see a halo of light around Aoko. He'd only been renting an apartment for 2 weeks, but he was already aware of how magnificent the prospect of owning land in the city might be.
You're...
The word Soujirouu was trying to articulate was rich. He shook all over with an emotion he did not fully grasp.
悪いけど、そういうんじゃないから。
Hold it. You're thinking about this all wrong.
私たちで土地って言ったら、魔術師としての霊地の所有権、支配権のことを言うの。
When we say land, we're talking about the ownership and control of spiritual grounds as mages.
うちはマイナーだけど、古くからこの辺りに根を下ろしてた魔術師で、三崎町もうちの管理下ってわけ。
Oh, I see. So magic territory. Not necessarily like land owning. I see. The Azaki family might be a minor player, but we've got old roots here as mages. Which is why Misaki falls under our jurisdiction.
管理地っていうのはね、霊的な力が歪んで集まりやすい土地のこと。そういう土地は昔から貴重で、魔術の実践、実験には不可欠でもある。
When I say we administer the land, I'm talking about a place where spiritual power is distorted and gathers easily. This type of land has always been valuable, and it's vital to the experimentation and practice of magecraft.
成功への絶対条件は、優れた霊地、堅固な工房、多くの弟子たちってね。
After all, the three pillars of what makes successful mages are a strong workshop, lots of disciples, and fertile spiritual grounds.
魔術師たちにとって、土地付き館付きの住み家を持つのは一つの野望なんだから。
They got 2 out of the 3. To us, owning administered land and a residence to live in are number 1 on the priority list. Soujirouu let her continue, while wondering exactly who these 2 girls were to have achieved with ambitions already.
でも、その管理地は大部分が教会に仕切られてて、もう余っている土地はないの。
However, most sacred grounds have already been claimed by the association. There's nothing left for anyone else.
はぐれ魔術師や土地のない魔術師は、教会に毎月寄付金を納めて土地を借りるしかない。
Damn.
手よく教会のお偉いさんたちに尽くす働き蜂ってところね。
Rogue and landless mages have no choice but to borrow land from this organization in exchange for a monthly donation. They're basically worker bees, slaving away for the top dogs of the association.
でも、ここの土地は何百年も前から青崎のものだから、教会とは関係がないの。
But this land here, it's been in my family for hundreds of years, so the association can't get their grubby hands on it.
ここまで言えばわかるでしょ。
Do you understand what I'm saying, Soujirouu?
そういったフリーの連中からすれば、私たちの管理地はこの上ないごちそうなんだって。
To rogue mages, our land is the juiciest fruit there is. Soujirouu nodded to himself, unsure whether to call the conversation mundane or outright disturbing.
よくわかった。青崎たちは土地の奪い合いをしているんだ。
I get it. So you're basically fighting over the land.
そういうこと。
Pretty much.
ただ、岬の管理地はマイナーのさらにマイナーだから、やってくる挑戦者も三流ばっかりよ。
But because the administered land of Misaki is so minor, its challengers have all been third rate.
今回の敵だって、どっかの三流魔術師が、ここなら楽に奪えると思ってやってきたんだろうし。ま、それもあんたの乱入で休戦してるんだけど。
The enemy this time is probably some small fry thinking this place was low-hanging fruit. Though for now we're on a ceasefire because of your intrusion.
管理地の話はそれで十分よ、青子。
That's enough about administered land, Aoko.
しずきくんも他に魔術師がいると分かってくれたようだし。
Suzuki seems to understand that the point that the other mages is there aside from us.
危険があるとすれば、私たちの戦いに彼が巻き込まれる可能性だけど。
If any danger exists, it's more likely to arise as a result of him becoming involved in one of our battles.
それは大丈夫でしょう。
He'll be fine.
だってこいつ魔力のかけらもないじゃない。魔力感知には引っかからないし、番犬以下の人間は戦力って言わないから、狙われることもないだろうし。
Huh. Really? I doubt that. I think it's being suppressed. Besides, this guy has zero trace of magical energy, so there's no chance of him being sensed. Plus, he has less tactical value than a watchdog, so he shouldn't be a target anyway.
私たちはただ忘却のルーンを見つけるまでこいつを逃がさなければいいだけでしょ。
We just have to make sure he doesn't escape before we can find the amnesia rune. Alice silently stared her partner down. Their ideas of involving Soujirouu differed greatly in both gravity and risk. Aoko's lack of experience had led her to believe that Soujirouu would not get directly involved in any fighting. It was an honest and rational thought. Aoko despised wasted action, so it was natural for her to expect the same frugality from her enemies. However, there were those in this world who could not tell right from wrong until it was too late.
先のことは誰にもわからないから。
No one knows what the future will bring.
その時になって後悔がなければいいけれど。
I only hope that when the time comes, we won't regret this. With a gloomy sigh, Alice came to her feet.
ちょっと何のために長話したと思ってるのよ。
I'm not done with the lecture yet. You don't think that was entirely for Suzuki's benefit, do you?
一番重要なあんたの意見聞いてないんですけど。
Your opinion matters the most, and we still haven't heard it yet.
あなたがあなたの方針を守るというのならそれでいいわ。
If you must stick to your plan, that's fine.
私も好きにするだけよ。
I'll stick to mine. Alice glided soundlessly to the door. As the girl in black opened it, she paused, barely lit by the dim corridor. Then, without warning, dang! To the rhythm of her footsteps, the small glass bottle floated into the air and shattered without mercy. She slightly miffed.
あの時こうしておけばよかった。
That is what I should have done earlier. Her sharp tone made Soujirou's face go pale. Alice's voice was so quiet, it was hard to tell if she was being serious or mocking him.
私も言い忘れていたけど。
I forgot to mention something. She icily eyed them before turning away. And in a voice even colder than her gaze, stated,
まだ認めていないから。
I'm still not happy with this arrangement. Her frigid departure seemed to forebode the many difficulties that lay ahead.
たく往生際が悪い。
She is such a sore loser. Aoko leaned back on the sofa while howling abusive epithets. Her face looked even more irritated than usual.
見逃すのとここに住まわせるのは別問題よって。じゃあそれ以外にどんな方法があるってのよ。
She says letting you go and letting you stay here out of the question. But I don't see her coming up with any bright ideas.
譲る気もなさそうだし。この分じゃ実力行使に出るかもね、あの子。
She's as stubborn as a mule. I wouldn't put it past her to resort to violence to get her way. Soujirouu threw a weary glance at Aoko while she grumbled. He wondered what Alice's show of defiance meant, shattering the glass bottle like she did.
宗十郎には記憶をなくしてもらうってことで話はつけたけど、心の底から納得してないってことでしょ。
I thought I could convince her by including the backstop that we could erase your memory, but she's having none of it.
アリスにしちゃ珍しく他人を意識してたけど、やっぱりここに住まわせるとなると難しいみたい。
It's rare that Alice is even cognizant of other people, but maybe having you live here was a step too far for her.
寝てる分には良かったけど、起きてるあなたを見たらこう、えも言わぬ刺激心を刺激されたとかさ。
She was fine while you were sleeping, but when she saw you awake, it must have roused her sadistic side.
気をつけてね、宗十郎。
Watch your back, Soujirouu.
あの子、あんたを殺しに来るかもしれないから。
She just might come to finish you off. If anything, it meant that Aoko's warning was an indication that persuading Alice hit a dead end.
なんか状況はあの夜からあまり変わってないようだね、青崎。
Somehow, it doesn't seem like the situation has changed much from the other night. Naozaki.
She shot him an unconcerned look in reply.
そうじゃないぞ。
I mean it, really.
青崎の次はあの子がやる気満々じゃないか。さっきみたいな目にあったら逃げることもできない。
That girl is just itching to finish what you started. Next time I make eye contact with her, I might not walk away alive.
こういうの生殺しって言うんじゃないか。
This must be what this must be what people call a cliffhanger.
そうならないように努力するのね。
I'll try to make sure that doesn't happen.
ま、アリスの理由は遊園地の時ほど切迫したものじゃないから、そのうち諦めてくれるとは思うんだけど。
Besides, Alice isn't feeling as urgent as I was at the amusement park, so there's always a chance that she'll get over it by herself.
青崎の時とは違うアリスの理由？
You mean her reason for wanting me dead is different from yours?
ええ、遊園地の時は秘密厳守のためだったけど、それは一応解決してる。あんたが底抜けに律儀なやつだってのはアリスだってもう分かってるし。
Yeah, that time at the park was because of our strict adherence to the secrecy law. But we've solved it for now. Even Alice understands how creepily earnest you are.
なんで秘密厳守云々であそこまで反対する理由はないの。あの子は単にね、ここに住んでほしくないだけなのよ。それだけでアリスはあんたを殺したがってる。
So she should have no reason left to worry about confidentiality. At that point, she probably just didn't want you to live here, hence her desire to murder you. Shh. Jeez. She said so matter-of-factly, her eyes cold and serious. Soujirouu had hoped for a trace of deceit or exaggeration, but alas.
確かにあの子はそんな素振りだったけど。
I did get that impression from her.
変だね。それならもっと他の手段を取ればいいのに。
But it's strange. If that's how she really feels, then surely we can find another solution.
Perhaps feeling guilty about putting Alice out, Soujirouu looked uncharacteristically concerned. Aoko immediately knew what his words really meant.
例えば記憶を消す魔術が見つかるまでさっきの小瓶の中に閉じ込めておくとか。
You mean like if you locked up inside that tiny glass bottle? Do we find the maid crafting to erase your memory? The apathy in her voice until now was gone. Soujirouu answered with a simple nod. In truth, it was undoubtedly the easiest solution for all parties concerned. However,
宗十郎、私約束は破らないの。覚えておいて。
Ah. Soujirouu, I don't break promises. Remember that. She hated taking the easy way out, and that quiet fury was clear in her soft words. As for where that fury was directed, Soujirouu was acutely aware. Well, I always imagined that the Pokemon were unconscious when they were in the Pokeballs. Like, I thought it was like they were asleep inside there. The pain in his chest made him regret making her say those words.
すまない。考えが足りなかった。
I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking.
His sudden apology caused her usual stern expression to return. Aoko had not appreciated how angry she was, let alone the reason for it. Hello, Mirage, welcome to the stream. To her, his apology had come out of nowhere.
あんたって本当わかんないわね。なんでそこで謝るのよ。
I don't get you at all sometimes. What are you apologizing for this time? She stared at Soujirouu, unblinking.
あれそうだな。自分でもよくわからない。多分そういう気分になったからだろう。
Oh my god. I do that all the time. I do that all the time. What Soujirouu is doing of just apologizing randomly.
I'm not sure myself. I guess I just felt like I should.
Even in saying he was not sure, Soujirouu had answered honestly. Naoko was at a loss for words.
ただ、青崎の言いたいことは分かった。
But I get what you're trying to say, Aozaki.
約束を守るっていうことは、結果じゃなく家庭を守るってことなんだな。
Keeping a promise is more about the process than the outcome.
He shot her a brazenly honest smile. That smiling face, filled with blissful ignorance, almost made her smile back instinctively. Ah.
当たり前じゃん。落ちなきゃ合ってればいいなんて恥ずかしくてできないでしょ。
Ah, she's being a sundry. You get it. If life only means to an end, I can live with myself. She's being all sundry. Aoko attempted to cover her embarrassment with a quick retort. Though unintentional, having her true feelings exposed like that made Aoko a little uncomfortable. Finding an offense in something was not good nature to Aoko. Being made to feel uncomfortable was not. Though far from being unhappy at the remark, she turned away from the speaker. To disguise her perceived shame, Aoko started up the conversation again.
あなたを見逃すって言うなら、気持ちの問題じゃなくて、ちゃんと状況もそうなるようにするのは当たり前なの。
If I say I'll let you go, you can be sure I'm gonna do just that, regardless of how I feel.
宗十郎をここに住まわせることが、あの約束を守ることになるんなら、厄介なアリスだって言い伏せるわよ。
And if letting you live here is what it takes to keep my promise, I can take it, even if it means Alice and I butt heads.
脅かすだけならまだしも、ずっと瓶付けなんてさせられるわけないでしょ。
Even if they're just idle threats, there's no way I would let her bottle you up forever.
そっか。青崎があの子を説得しない素振りなのは、もうできるだけの説得をした後だからなのか。
Oh my god, that face.
Thanks. Now I get why you've given up trying to persuade her. She won't be persuaded anymore.
それで彼女とは冷戦中なんだ。
Ah, that's what you called it a Cold War.
別にあんたのためじゃないわ。私は私のために約束を守ってるだけだし。
It's not as if I'm doing this for you, Baka. I'm just keeping my promise. Hello, Kai. Welcome to the stream. My voice is not at 100% today, so I apologize.
お察しの通り、私のやるべきことはもう終わってるし、あとはそっちが努力する番だから勝手にすれば。
Like you said, I've done my part. Now it's your turn, Soujirouu. The ball's in your court.
Huh?
He replied, tilting his head.
あのね、いい？同居案を何とか認めさせることができるのは私だけだから、2日間ぶっ通しでアリスを言い伏せもした。けどそれ以上は無理。
All right, listen up. I spent 2 entire days arguing and trying to convince Alice into agreeing to this cohabitation idea because, hello, I was the only one capable of doing it. But I've hit a dead end.
私、ここから先はノータッチだから。
From now on, I'm taking a hands-off approach.
しばらくはアリスから守ってあげるけど、その間にあの子にあんたを認めさせることは、あんたにしかできないんだからね、宗十郎。
And we have the goal for the next story arc. I'll protect you from Alice for the time being. But in the meantime, you're the only one who can convince her to accept you, Soujirouu.
なんと。
What?
Soujirouu had not expected that at all. Alice Kawanji, the girl in black who kept everyone at arm's length. If Aoko was a modern-day mage in hiding, then Alice was a bona fide witch from the Middle Ages.
青崎、君、自分がどれだけ難しいことを言ってるか分かってるか？
Hello, Nodder. Welcome to the stream.
Aozaki. You understand how difficult that'll be, right?
そうね。私もこの件に関してだけは同情するわ。
Of course I do. And now you know how I feel. Aoko stood up from the sofa. This was the end of the discussion, at least for now.
私たちがどんな人間かはおおよそ分かったでしょ。
So now you have an idea of what kind of people we are.
魔術に関してはこれ以上立ち入らない方があんたのためだから、説明はここまでね。
The less involved you are in magecraft, the better. So I'll spare you any further lectures.
で、肝心の今後の方針だけど、3ヶ月間ここで暮らす。
The long and short of it is, you'll be living here for 3 months.
当初の目標というより最初の試練は、なんとかアリスに同居人として認めてもらうこと。
Your first objective, or first trial if you like, is to somehow get Alice to accept you as her roommate. Oh god, Kai, now you're reminding me of how the Kaguya anime will never be properly continued. God damn it. Ah, that ticks me off so badly. Man.
試練って言った。今そういう類のことを言った。
A trial? You just called it a trial.
ごまかしてもいいことないでしょ、この手のことは。
Sugarcoating it won't do you any favors.
うまくいかなきゃ粉々なわけだし。
It's okay, Kai. After all, bloating, you're a dead man, remember? With her cold-blooded remark, Aoko started walking toward the door.
あ、そうそう。
Oh, and one more thing.
宗十郎の部屋だけど3階に用意しといたから。2階のホールの裏側に階段があるから使って。ここは寮ってわけでもないし、時間は自由に使いなさい。
About your room? It's up on the third floor. There's a set of stairs on the far side of the second floor hall, so use those. Also, this is not a dorm, so you're free to spend your time however you want.
ただし、西館にだけは入らないようにね。東館は私が借りてるから比較的安全だけど、それでも歩き回らない方が無難だわ。
It's like reverse Beauty and the Beast here. But whatever you do, do not go into the West Wing. I rent the East Wing, so it should be relatively safe in comparison. But still, it's generally safer not to wander around. Yeah, this is literally just Beauty and the Beast. Very cute.
ま、基本安全なのはあんたの部屋とここだけよ。
In other words, the safest places for you are your room and the drawing room.
中の説明ってまさかそれだけ？
Wait, is that really all you're gonna tell me about the mansion?
青崎はいろいろおかしい。魔術なんかよりもっと大事な説明があると思う。
Hasaki, that's messed up. That seems way more important to explain than magecraft.
He desperately called out to her. She began to leave the drawing room. Oh my god, that face. Soujirouu is indeed a Disney princess. He has the personality of one. Yeah. Oh my god. Aoko could not help but pity Soujirouu.
せめてほら、案内とか。
Can't you at least show me around?
面倒なんでパス。おのぼりさんを案内するなんて2回もやれば十分よ。
Sorry. But I'll have to pass. Showing a country bumpkin the lay of the land twice is plenty enough for me.
起きたばっかりだし、とりあえず今日は部屋で休んだら。朝になったら学校まで案内してあげるから。
Plus, you just woke up. Why not take it easy in your room for the rest of the night? I'll show you how to get to school in the morning.
もっとも、私もそう暇じゃなし。そばについてあげられるのは、期末試験が終わるまでってことで。
It's not like I'm made of free time. My obligation to put up with you ends as soon as final exams are over.
1週間以内にアリスと仲良くなるなり、弱みを握るなりしないと、まあ、あれよね。
1 week. Oh boy. If you don't find some way to make nice with Alice, or find some way to blackmail her within a week, well, you know what that means. Jeez. With barely a wave of goodbye, student council tyrant walked out. He unconsciously clenched the hand he had raised. Left all alone, he was at a complete loss. Then, as if to encourage him, the chirp, 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 bluebird. With the sound of lightly fluttering wings, a blue robin appeared out of nowhere. I told you guys he was a Disney princess. The tiny chubby bird innocently licked Soujirouu up and down. The blue robin, a bird said to bring happiness according to folklore, flapped its little wings as if to cheer him on. Then, with a flutter, it mercilessly flicked off the lights.
Aww.
Leaving Soujirouu alone in the drawing room, Alice returned to her bedroom. She closed the door to her room, and as soon as she sat on her bed, she was overcome by an unexpected wave of exhaustion. Soujirouu had no way of knowing, but she had been preparing for war. In the event that Alice impulsively pulled out a ploy, Aoko had to be ready to react in an instant. She sighed heavily, but not from the fatigue she felt at fighting with Alice.
ちょっと突っぱねすぎたか
Was I too hard on him? She frowned a dejected frown. What weighed on Aoko's mind was not Alice.
でも甘くするのはあいつのためにならないし
Oh my god! I mean, going easy on him wouldn't do him any favors either. Hello, saw welcome to the stream.
基本おとなしくしてもらった方がいいわけだし
The best thing he could do for himself is to lay low. It'd be trouble if he wandered around like he owned the place, after all. Safest thing for him would be if he holed up in his room, too scared out of his wits to leave it.
青崎は味方だなんて勘違いされても困るしね
Good night, Kai. God, I hope he doesn't think I'm his ally or something.
アリス同様人手なし扱いされた方が楽だわ
Alice is the lucky one. I'd kill to have him treat me as a stranger. She nodded to herself, agreeing with her take on the situation. For the most part, it was a sound plan. If there were a problem, it would be this.
すまない青崎。一つ聞きたいことがあるんだが。
Sorry, Ozaki. I just have one quick question.
Oh my god. Not 10 minutes had passed since leaving him in the drawing room. For Soujirouu to shirk off what she had said and visit her room so fast, it was like he had no sense of danger at all.
実は外に出たいんだ。
I need to go outside.
Of course, he would ask to leave the house. Aoko lacked the energy for a sarcastic barb.
洋館の中は歩き回らないし、用を済ませたらきちんと戻ってくる。ただ、門限とかあったら聞いておこうと思って。
I won't wander around the mansion, and I'll come right back when I'm finished. I just figured I should check if there was a curfew or anything.
でもアルバイトには行くのよね
Work, is it?
How'd you know?
Why isn't that voiced?
How'd you know?
Soujirouu exclaimed in surprise, when it was Aoko who decided to display her shock at him.
まあいいわ
Fine, you can go.
基本午後10時までその時間には必ず屋敷にいることその後は夜勤に出かけるなり庭でバーベキューするなり何でも好きにしていい
Oh my god. Yeah, this is kind of reminding me of Kaguya. You should make sure you're back on the estate by 10 every night. As long as you keep to the curfew. You can go to work your after school job, have a barbecue in the garden, do whatever you want. I don't care.
それと玄関に鍵はかかってないから
Really? Huh. The front door is never locked anyway.
気のせいじゃなければだけど。
I get the impression you're,
青崎、すごく怒ってないか
angry with me.
あんた相手に気を使った自分に呆れ果ててるだけよ
Oh my god. Hello, Lestat. Welcome to the stream. Oh, I'm angry, all right. Just not with you. I'm angry at myself for caring what happens to you.
外に出るのはいいけどその前にこの錠剤飲んで
And before you go out, take this pill.
Huh?
Soujirouu took the purple pill from her outstretched hand and dubiously put it in his mouth. He told himself that it must have been some kind of medicine.
それじゃあ行ってくる。いろいろありがとう、青崎。
Just without even asking what it is, he just took it. Oh my god.
Alright, I'm off then. Thanks for everything, Ozaki.
あっそ今 今度は窓から出ていかないでよね。
Oh, and don't leave through the window this time. Okay. Soujirouu laughed himself all the way to the foyer, unsure of what exactly he found funny. Aoko watched him go, both indifferent and amazed all at once.
ま、予定が半日早まっただけか。
Well, that happened about half a day earlier than
この
planned.
薬を飲ませるの明日の朝にしてあげようと思ったのに。
He was supposed to take his first pill tomorrow morning. She huffed, ruffling her hair in exasperation, returning to her room. What did the pill do? Discerning what made Soujirouu tick was a waste of brain matter. In all likeliness, he was more concerned about missing 2 days of work and his own well-being after being bedridden for 2 days. With the day's work behind him, Soujirouu returned to the mansion.
よし。どこを探しても2階のホールから上がれる階段はここだけだ。
This must be it. It's the only set of stairs leading up from the second floor hall.
It was just before midnight. This is the scene that awaited him beyond the rickety staircase. Not much surprise, Soujirouu. Or rather, being surprised had become normal to him. This scene, however, was enough to leave him speechless. The room allotted to Soujirouu, no matter how he looked at it. Oh no! No matter how he ran it through his mind, was without a shadow of doubt an attic. This treatment stirred a tinge of anxiety in him. Just as, oh god damn it! Where's Lumiere to come and ask him for Soujirouu to get a better room? Oh god! Just as he was about to flop on the taut sheets of his bed, wondering if he could make this work, despite his share of other problems. He noticed an awkward courtesy, so meager as to be useless.
寒かったら重ねて使うこと。これはサービスとする。
Something to use if you get cold. Consider it a gift. The message in the memo pointed to the meticulous personality of the author. The bed had been perfectly prepared. Carefully setting aside the blanket that had been painstakingly placed on the edge of the bed for him in case he needed it, he looked up at the sky. Oh, that's nice. He gets to see the sky at least. Though faint, the stars twinkled through the skylight. For a mountain boy, that meager light was more than enough for him. The stark contrast with the drawing room had caught him off guard, but now that he had collected himself, it was not so bad. This room fit his personality. Even if he was still not used to the building, he felt more at his ease here than he did in any building in the city. Perhaps because it was built on a hill surrounded by woods. The atmosphere here was a little closer to the mountains where he used to live.
でも家の中に霧が出るのはどうなんだろう。
Oh. Is it normal for there to be fog inside the house?
He crooked his neck, pondering over the spectacle he had witnessed. On the way to his room, Soujirouu encountered what looked like fog in the foyer on the second floor. What the fuck is that? The misty fog drifted into the portion of the corridor. Reminding him of a swarm of mosquitoes. It does look like bugs. As he stared at it, He swore he could make out a strange landscape, and as he moved closer to get a better look, again, out of nowhere, here inside the mansion, a little bluebird darted purposefully in front of him.
鳥
A bird?
The bird caught his attention, stopping him in his tracks. When he looked to check on the fog again, the strange seed had disappeared.
この家隙間でもあるのかな。明日青崎に聞いてみるか。
His house must have a draft. I'll ask Ozaki about it tomorrow.
He muttered to himself as he sat on the bed. Meager as it was, starlight peeping in through the skylight calmed him.
これなら。
Yeah, this'll work.
It really is Beauty and the Beast! Oh my... Exhaling slowly, he lay down. For the time being, he had the essentials needed to live, and his bed was many times softer than it had appeared. Thinking his worries seemed smaller than they were, he quickly drifted off to sleep. That was the story of from when he opened his eyes to when he fell asleep. Just like that, the short night following the long night was over. For one thing was true. Soujirouu was an optimist to a fault, but it wasn't the end of the world. Now, let us rewind 5 hours prior to this glutton for punishment going to bed. It was 7 o'clock in the evening, just after the unproductive discussion between the two mages and the boy had ended. Leaving her roommate and the intruder in the drawing room, the girl walked alone through the foyer. From there, she headed to the west wing. These were Alice Kwanji's personal chambers, in which even her roommate Aoko Aozaki seldom dared to step foot. The foyer was illuminated only by pale moonlight. Hard footsteps echoed through the dreary moonlit lobby. In such mansions in Japan, there was no custom for removing shoes at the door. Hence, Alice crossed the foyer in her boots. She only removed them when she relaxed in her bedroom. Suddenly, she remembered something from her childhood. She used to enjoy the feeling of the cold hardwood floor on her bare feet, and would walk around in the foyer on particularly sunny days. After her father affectionately scolded her for it, she never did it again.
そうだったわね。青子は結局守らなかった。
And I don't know why I bother. Aoko never does. She let out a quiet sigh. Alice's new roommate, whom she took on after coming to Japan, would not comply with her instructions.
落ち着かないものはしょうがない。
Old habits die hard, Aoko would say, changing into her slippers. Aoko might have found it natural to do so, given she lived in a typical Japanese house through middle school. But every time Alice heard her flip-flopping through the foyer, she wanted to cancel their cohabitation. By now, Alice was not particularly bothered by it anymore. Human adaptability was remarkable at times, and ungracious at others. The emotional attachments of the past had proved far too brittle under the weight of reality. A little bluebird was perched on the banister. Its tiny chirping made Alice stop and look its way.
今夜は放っておくわ。今は青子の問題よ。
Leave him be for tonight. Right now he's Aoko's problem. The lack of feeling in her voice made the bird tilt its head as it sang. Tweet, tweet, tweet. It trilled, as though questioning its master's uncharacteristic leniency.
約束は約束よ。今夜ぐらいは多めに見ないと。
A promise is a promise. I can at least tolerate him for tonight.
青子と彼はそれだけの活躍をしたのだし。
Aoko and the boy did go to such lengths after all. She said to the bird, her voice betraying her discontent. If you win, I'll let you go. She will keep that promise, in spite of the unquenchable desire to fight that burned in her chest.
でもその後の処遇は別の話。
But I didn't make any guarantees after that.
条件付きのゲームに勝ったぐらいで、いつまでも得意げでいられるのは心外だわ。
She scraped a win even with a handicap in our little game, but I won't let her strut around childishly rubbing it in my face forever. Perhaps it was perfectionism born of fastidiousness, but despite her prim demeanor, Alice Kwanji was a sore loser. It did not matter to her whose magecraft was superior. Losing the game had proven hard to move on from. Frickin' Burncastle vibes. The little bird fluttered his wings in agreement. Drinking in Alice's contempt, it was itching to dive bomb the invader. It looked like a soldier saluting a superior officer as it preened itself. The bluebird turned to face its master. Tweet, 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 tweet. Its light-hearted tweeting seemed to display desire to deal with Soujirouu first thing in the morning.
そうね。理由さえできたのなら、瓶なり本なりに入ってもらいましょう。
Indeed. If he gives us a reason, let us put him in a bottle, or perhaps a book. Except her words lacked any bite. On the face of it, they were the chilling kind one might come to expect from a witch's lips, but then again so tame as to remind you of a certain robin's flapping.
しばらくの話よ。けど、それも一時だけ。私の我慢も長くは続かないし。
It's only a matter of time, and there's not very much at that. My patience has its limits.
だいたい、青子も人にかまけていられる立場じゃないわ。5日もすれば思い知るでしょう。そうすれば。
Goddamn pauses. Aoko is in no position to dote on others in the first place. I give her 5 days, and then... When the time came, expelling him would be simple. Alice was well aware her roommate was a pragmatist with no vision. Situations she created would not allow her to wait around. She could only afford to protect that boy for 3 or 4 days at most. Beyond that, Alice sensed Aoko would crack and say something like, "You take care of this, Alice."
それまで待つか、あるいは私の我慢が効かなくなるか。
Will I wait until then? Or will I lose my patience first?
どちらにしても結果は変わらないわ。
Whichever comes first, the end result will be the same. Alice Quanji would suffer no more irritations. And protecting a witness, let alone allowing them to live in her mansion, was an indignity. Alice looked up, fascinated by the dense fog that had crawled into the foyer. Above the fireplace was a single mirror. Roughly 3 feet in diameter, it decorated the wall where one might find a painting. Its surface was faintly clouded, and vaguely reflected the foyer's appearance.
スナークをなくした影響でしょうね。
This is what I get for losing the snark.
鏡の機能、しばらくは制御できないみたい。
I suppose that means the mirror is out of commission for the time being. The little bird joyfully chirped at its master's mumbling. The bird attempted to imply there was no need for her to lift a finger, not as the nuisance would fall into the mirror of his own accord. Or perhaps, had the little bird not sang, Alice would have come to the same conclusion. For some reason, she recalled an earlier conversation.
これでも一番無難だと思う。
How about now? Still think this is the safest option? In response to her question, the boy inside the bottle shrugged his shoulders and answered. From his perspective, the city and the mansion were no different. Seeing that having just moved from the countryside, everything was something he had never seen before.
自慢できることじゃないが、まだ書き物さえ満足にできないし、都会のルールは複雑すぎて、何が正しいのかさえ区別がつかない。
I'm not proud of it, but I still have trouble writing. And the city rules are so complicated that I don't even know right from wrong.
More than embarrassment, his voice was full of resentment. He was angry about something, though Alice could not tell what. But
だから、どこにいても危ないことに変わりはないんだ。
That's why no matter where I go, I'm always in danger.
極端な話、道を歩くだけでも、人と話すだけでも不安になる。俺は、どこでだろうとうまくやっていける保証はないんだよ。
It may be an exaggeration, but even walking down the street or talking to someone makes me anxious. No matter where I am, there's no guarantee I'll make it out.
けど、ここにはそんな奴に気を使ってくれる人がいる。気遣ってくれる理由は物騒なものっぽいけど、それは本当に贅沢なことだと思うんだ。
But here, there's someone that might show concern for a person like me. Sure, my reasoning is a little messed up, but I've never known such luxury.
her eyes welled up ever so slightly. Those soft words were something she could not brush off, because they made sense to her. Given that everything in the city was a danger to him, nothing had changed after coming to the mansion. In reality, he had no reason to fear this place in particular. If anything was different from the outside, it would be that someone here was his ally. With that view, he had been entirely sincere. His explanation hasn't contained any flattery toward Alice Kwanji, nor pandering to Aoko Ozaki. He was simply speaking from the heart.
I like it here.
今、鏡に迷い込まれるのは迷惑ね。
Ah, she's even starting to warm up to him. Perhaps having him wander into the mirror is more trouble than it's worth right now.
鏡の機能は侵入者の探索に専念させたいし、彼が迷い込みそうになったら止めてあげて。
Ah. Wow. That's what happened. I want to dedicate the mirror's function to searching for intruders. So if it looks like he's going to be swallowed up by it, do stop him, will you? Wow. So she saved him. The bird shook its feathers at her strange instruction. Alice looked away from the mirror and continued her walk. The bird chirped in protest.
あなたの仕事よ、ロビン。それぐらいの役には立って。
It is your job, Robin. At least get that right, would you? Leaving the bird with that icy retort, she vanished into the west wing. All that remained was the moonlight. And the little blue bird, trembling at a perilous prospect of an unprecedented change. Da 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 da. Oh my god. Are you for real? Oh wow, now this one is a lot of books here. I love this bookshelf. Let's go. Once long ago, I saw a beautiful bird fly overhead. Round and round it circled the distant blue sky. How high it flew in this era where humans, not birds, reigned supreme. And yet the bird was completely uninterested in humanity's endless desire for expansion. Our creation of even higher homes, or the smoke bellowing from industry's chimneys. The sky extends further than the eye can see. It belongs to no one, not now, not then. The bird was a truly noble creature. Flapping its wings powerfully across the wild, ancient sky. Uh-oh. Until the sudden sound of cold iron. A wing is shot, its symmetry gone forever. Cruel and tragic, its body plummets downwards. Not knowing its fate, the bird frantically beats its wings till the very end. One moment soaring with eyes to the sky, the next crashing down to the dry, hardened earth. This was the dream I saw. No matter how much I thought about it, its details remained clouded. What does that bird look like, for instance? Huh. Foreboding.
はい、 今日の授業はここまで。
All right, class dismissed.
試験範囲の総まとめなんかやっちゃいましたけど、これうちのクラスだけですから、よそのクラスには内密にお願いしますね。他人特典と思ってください。
It's Mr. Eisen. Wow, we haven't been in the school in a hot minute. My God.
That's everything that will be on the test. Please don't share it with the other classes. You're the only ones I'm telling. You're the only ones I'm telling. Think of it as a homeroom bonus.
ほら、原告の平均点ぐらいは学年一番にしておくと、皆さんも鼻が高いと思いまして。
Remember, if this class gets the highest scores, you can brag about it to all the other classes.
Mr. Yamashiro chuckled as he finished. This was typical of the kind teacher responsible for Year 2 Class C, the master at relaxing his pupils.
先生、口元に本音出てる。鼻を高くしたいのは私たちじゃないですよね。
Like, I think you got that backward, Mr. Yamashiro. You're the one who's after bragging rights.
鼻っていうかメンツですよね。先生、里中先生に嫌味言われてばっかりだし。
Is this... I swear. This guy's gonna pull an Eisen at one point. I fucking swear.
Yeah, then he can finally get Mr. Sadanaka off his back. We know he's been making fun of you all semester for our bad grades, sir.
つうかはっきり言えばいいんすよ。お前ら頭悪すぎだって。いやまあ、うちのクラス見事なまでに体育会系ばっかりだけどさ。
Duh. We're like total washouts except for totally excellent sports skills. Radical.
いえいえ、テストの点数だけが学生生活ではありませんから、僕から言うべきことは何も。
Please, though it might not mean much coming from me, high school is about more than just your test scores.
先生方もそこまで目くじら立ててるわけじゃないので、別にクラス全員が赤点でも僕の人生には何ら関わりはないんですけどね。
Teachers don't really care that much about your grades, you know? Even if you'll fail, it's not like anything bad will happen to us.
That shouldn't be the case.
しかし一方では一人厄介な御人がおりまして。
But if there is one student who does bother me...
皆さんが選んだ全校生徒代表の方なんですが、これが恐ろしいのなんの。
I think you know who I'm talking about. You chose her to represent the entire student body. A monumentally awful decision.
テストの点数が低いのは生徒ではなく教育する側が無能だからです。教育委員会への報告準備はいつでもできていますので。と、日夜脅してくるんですよ。
She makes a daily point to threaten to report me to the Board of Education, claiming my students' grades as a result of poor instruction rather than lack of studying.
それでも生徒たちが治らないようなら、その時は直接私が監督します。とか、生徒としてどうなんですかね、あれ。
Wow, she is super nice. You're a terrible teacher. My God.
She said if student scores don't improve, she'd come to supervise my classes herself. What kind of student even says such a thing?
The warm atmosphere in the room suddenly fell below freezing. Students of Class C knew who their true enemy was.
ああ、そっか。山城先生生徒会の顧問だったっけ。ナムナム。
Right. I forgot you Mr. Yamashiro was a student body advisor.
さすがは応援団を立ち直らせた上傑。教師一人退職に追い込むなど造作もね。
Student president meant to revive the cheer squad, so I wouldn't be surprised if she can force the teacher out of their job too.
やっぱりな。会長絶対年サバ読んでるって。あの迫力、同年代と思えねえし。
Yeah, I heard she can guess the teacher's age with 100% accuracy. I can't believe she's the same age as us.
ほら、うちの女子と比べると特に、こう、おっぱい的に。
Shh. I mean, look at her compared to the girls in our class. Her boobs are way bigger.
先生、木の実だけでも A 組に引き取ってもらえませんか。そりゃ男子はみんな猿ですけど、こいつだけレベルの違う猿ですよ、絶対。
Like, oh my God, please get Kanomi moved to Class A, sir. It's hard enough with a class full of apes, but he's such a pig.
あれでも女子 A 組だけどあんまり成績良くねえよな。中の上ぐらいじゃなかったっけ？
But you know, that girl doesn't even get the grades for a Class A member. Kind of middle of the pack, right?
そうだけど別にいいんじゃない？塾も行ってないし生徒会仕切ってたまにバイトまでしてるんだから。あれで学年トップだったら逆に気持ち悪すぎ。
That's the point, dumbass. She doesn't need to go to cram school. She's on the student council, and sometimes has a job or two. It'd be heinous if she got awesome grades too.
だよな。周囲は副会長に任せとけばいいんだよ。
Totally. We should leave the good grades to the vice president.
まあまあ皆さん、噂話はそのあたりで。地獄耳という言葉もありますから。
Alright, that's enough gossiping, everyone. It's not nice to talk about people behind their backs.
You started it, dude.
じゃあ、それなりに復習をよろしく。あんまり点数が悪いと冬休みそのものがなくなりますからね。
In any case, good luck with your studies. Remember, if your grades don't improve, the winter vacation gets cancelled.
あ、それとしずきくん、ちょっといいですか？
Oh, and Suzuki, could I have a word before you go?
Mr. Yamashiro gathered his things and beckoned for Soujirouu to join him in the hallway. There were no other students to be seen, despite it being break time between classes. Voices were audible in the distance, but the hall itself felt strangely quiet and calm. Perhaps it was due to the sense of confinement created by the lack of windows. Usually, students spent their breaks either in the classrooms or on the veranda.
何ですか、山城先生。
What is it, sir?
いえ、そう大した用事じゃないんですけどね。
Oh, nothing major.
試験前にこんな話をするのもデリカシーがないんですが、気になったので。
Sorry to bring...
学校には慣れたかな？
Goddamn pauses!
Sorry to bring this up right before exams, but I've been meaning to ask. How's everything going with school? Are you settling in all right?
Though this level of concern from a teacher startled him, Soujirouu felt reassured. It was only natural. After having had to deal with such difficult personalities lately, Mr. Yamashiro's trivial questions were refreshing.
はい。学校の作りや決まりなら自分なりに分かってきました。友達も増えましたし。
Yeah, I think I understand the basics of school life for now. And I've made friends too.
そっか、それはよかった。うちのクラスは口の悪い面々だけど、その分気を使わなくていいからね。しずきくんと相性が良くて助かったよ。
Good, glad to hear it. Students in my class tend to mouth off, so don't take them too seriously. I'm glad you're able to fit in.
Soujirou's eyes shone brightly in appreciation. In Aoko's words, Mr. Yamashiro was a brutish, forgettable, downright detestable man who did not even deserve the title of teacher. But Soujirouu found him considerate in his own way.
アルバイトもほどほどにね。試験前だって言えば、大抵のところは休ませてくれるから、あまり無理はしないように。
Hello, Gyro. Welcome to the stream.
Take it easy with your part-time jobs. We give students a lot of time off before exams, but don't push yourself too hard.
また試験で困ったことがあったら周りに相談しなさい。一人で悩んでいても時間の無駄だよ。ほら、学校っていうのは話し相手にだけは困らないから。
And if you have trouble with exams, just ask the other students for help. There's no need to suffer in silence. If this school has anything, it's plenty of people to talk to.
With a wave of his hand, Mr. Yamashiro was gone. The pure-hearted Soujirouu gave him a solemn nod, as if to say he accepted the advice of his so-called forgettable teacher, and went back to his classroom. And then,
女のことで相談だ
once again, you want my advice about girls? Soujirouu had not wasted a moment in putting Mr. Yamashiro's advice into practice.
そうらしい。難問にぶち当たっているんだ。
Oh my god. More misunderstandings are about to arise.
Yeah. It's like I've hit a wall with them.
深く考えてみて気づいたんだが、どうも自分は発想が貧困らしい。
I thought about it and thought about it. But I realized I'm no good at figuring them out.
Soujirouu averted his eyes out of shame over his lack of insight.
いや、豊かだと思ってたことがびっくりなんだけど。まあいい、こっち来い。
You could have fooled me. I thought you were a man with the ladies. Well, you came to the right guy. Follow me.
Shocked as he was, Konomi grabbed Soujirouu by the shoulder and pulled him over to the wall. Konomi had nearly burst out laughing when Soujirouu, with a straight face, admitted a difficulty with girls. But he realized it was the first time Soujirouu had ever turned to him for advice. Soujirouu was always able to break down any task at his part-time jobs into bite-sized pieces, but he was clearly struggling with a different problem now. This was gonna take some serious effort.
で、なんかやっちまったのか Yo.
Okay, give it to me straight, pal. How big you screw up?
これからやるのかもしれない。
I didn't screw up yet, but it might happen soon.
木の実、例えばの話、マッドベアにハリセンボンみたいな女の子が入ってきたとする。
Well, let's say a girl walked into the mad bear, who's as prickly as a porcupine.
その子は俺が嫌いで、マッドベアから出て行ってほしいようなんだけど、俺はマッドベアをやめるわけにはいかない。
Oh God.
She doesn't like me and wants me to leave, but I don't want to.
Soujirouu explained that he couldn't just quit his part-time job at the restaurant. He needed the money. Konomi grunted a few times to indicate he was still following Soujirou's story.
つまりその女を追い出したいと。
So, like, you want the girl to split?
逆だ。なんとか認めてもらいたい。
No. I want her to be okay with me working there.
隠していたけど、俺はその女の子が嫌いというわけじゃなくて。
Damn. Wow. That is wow.
Because the thing is, I sorta don't not like her.
Soujirouu furrowed his brow. Konomi could not help but laugh at his friend's lack of manly resolve in his answer. Girls were the one area where Hosuke's skills and expertise were triple those of Soujirouu.
No, is he?
なんだよ。要はナンパかよ。むし
Oh
ろ仲良く
no.
なりたいってわけ
He's gonna get himself killed. Oh god.
That's just the art of flirting, man. You want to get along with her, right?
Soujirouu wasn't sure how to respond. He nodded slowly without really understanding the implication of what Konomi had said.
けどどうすればいいのかわからない。そもそもどうやって同い年の女の子と仲良く話ができるんだ。
But I don't know what to do. How can I get along with girls my age?
クラスの女どもとは話してんじゃん。あれでいいんだっつの。俺は羨ましいっつの。
You talk to girls in our class all the time. Honestly, you make all the other guys look bad. You're a natural at it.
持ち前の天然系で押してけばいいべ。
Just keep being your usual clueless self, and I'm sure you'll be fine.
山育ちってのは希少なアイデンティティだと思うぜ。珍しいものは生かさないとさ。
Being raised in the mountains makes you Mr. Mysterious. Oh,
Being raised in the mountains makes you Mr. Mysterious. You gotta use that unique identity to your advantage.
そうかな。珍しいというのはあんまりいいことじゃない気がする。
Really? I don't think being unusual is such a good thing, though.
だいたいそもそも嫌われている場合はどうすればいいんだ。クラスのみんなは親切だけど相手はハリセンボンだ。いや、この際ハリネズミでもいい。
Like, how do you talk to someone who hates your guts? People in class are nice, but I'm dealing with a thorny beast here. Or maybe a hedgehog is a better metaphor.
そういう場合はめげなきゃいいんだよ。相手が折れるのを待つって寸法だな。トゲだけに。
Don't be a chicken, man. You know what they say, a tiny thorn can stop a lion. She'll come around.
Sojirou's brows sunk deeper still.
この例え話はダメだ。
All these abstract metaphors are too much for me.
He needed more concrete material to work with.
ばっか。女なんてのは機嫌を取ってればいいんだよ。
Come on, dude. You have to put in the work to get on a girl's good side.
まずは女の趣味とか大事にしてるもんとか聞いてそこをフォローすればいい。自分の都合より相手の都合だ。まずは外堀から攻めろってことだな。
Wow, except for that last sentence, that's pretty good advice.
First, ask about her hobbies and stuff she likes. Then go from there. Think about what she wants, not what you want. You gotta blitz them from when they're weak, as they say.
外堀、外回りか。
You mean, don't be too direct?
もち。その後はまあ結局はこれが一番効果的なんだけどな。袖の下ってやつ。プレゼントで連れ。
You got it. And then comes the most important part. Bribery. Gotta shower with presents.
その時の需要と供給さえ合えば嫌われてても受け取ってもらえる。受け取らせちまえばあとはそれが義理になるってもんだ。
If the supply matches the demand, she'll accept your gift even if she doesn't like you. Then you got her. She'll feel like she owes you one.
Konomi then recalling with an odd sense of pride that this approach has resulted in only failure. What?
けど問題がある木の実。
It.
There's just one problem, Konomi.
確かにご飯とかそういうのをおごってもらうと嬉しい。けど
I get that girls like being taken out to dinner, but
そんな金はないってんだろ。わかってるわかってる。
You can't afford it. I know.
仕方ないね。そういうしずきくんのために一丁割のいいバイトを紹介してやろうじゃねえのよ。
I got you covered. I'm gonna let you in on a sweet little screen secret. An easy way to get you some cold hard dough.
Uh-oh. They slid from the side of the classroom deeper to the one corner. To the front of the lockers, where no one ever stayed for long. Uh-oh. Oh, God. Oh, no. It'd be days before Soujirouu realized the suggestion he was receiving was of the illegitimate kind. The kind she should not have shared with anyone. Oh, God. Wacky hijinks are ensuing. Oh, God. That night. Dinner at the mansion was a feast of bread. Soft slices lay stacked in the center of the table, surrounded by variously colored jams. Oh, that sounds awesome. In a bowl was salad, mainly lettuce, with a small plate of unevenly cut ham. Soujirouu may have had no frame of reference for what an average family dinner should be, but he could tell this was most certainly not normal. In truth, it was a first-rate case of laziness.
チョコのペースト切れたままじゃん。
We're out of chocolate spread.
アリス、新しいの買っておいてって言わなかった？
Didn't I tell you to buy me some more, Alice?
今日は一日部屋にこもっていたから。
I've been locked away in my room all day.
第一、チョコレートを食べるのはあなただけね。自分のものは自分で調達をするべきね。
And more importantly, you're the only one that eats that stuff, so you should buy it. For these two girls, however, this dinner seemed to be completely normal. They had a system of regularly taking turns being in charge of meals, and tonight was Alice's turn. Normally, she would spend as little time and effort as possible, only truly applying herself when there was something to celebrate. Of course, Soujirouu was none the wiser to Alice's unique approach to food preparation. For him, it was a plain, lackluster meal. And when it came to dinner, not saying anything to each other was another staple of their meals. Sounds of cutlery, the scraping of chairs, and the tick-tock of the clock were the only things to be heard in the sunroom. Soujirouu himself had already eaten. At this moment he was watching the goings-on from the drawing room.
Soujirouu, 9時からアルバイトでしょ？行ってらっしゃい。私たちのことは気にしないでいいから。
Your part-time job starts at 9, right, Soujirouu? See you later then. Don't mind us.
ああ、じゃあ行ってくる。
Okay, I'll get going then.
Oh my god, is he gonna cook? Is he gonna be like their chef? I think that since he works at a restaurant, I wonder if he can be like their fucking chef and cook their meals. That would be a really good way to ingratiate himself. Like if he just puts himself in charge of food. I don't know if y'all will get this reference, but there was an old show called Three's Company where it was two girls and a dude living together. And the guy was a chef and he cooked the meals. Hello, Utpis, and welcome to the stream. Soujirouu donned his coat with a goodbye nod. When Soujirouu glanced again at the sunroom, he momentarily locked eyes with Alice, or so he imagined.
Huh?
She had been ignoring him all day, and not just refusing to talk to him. She avoided him so much as to not look at him all day, until this very moment. He could understand if he was annoying her as the outsider in the mansion, but he felt no animosity in her gaze just now.
今の様子を見てたのかな。
Maybe she was just glancing in the general direction of the drawing room.
That's some cope. Soujirouu looked nervously at his surroundings for a moment, before heading to the foyer. Alice only let her gaze return to normal when she was completely sure he was gone.
ああ、めんどくさ。
So much drama. Aoko was appalled by Alice's brazen display. So much so, her immaculate veneer of apathy crumbled.
何？献立に不満でもあるの？青子。
What's that, Aoko? Still upset over tonight's lack of chocolate?
もちろんあるけど、いつものことだし慣れてるわよ。
I would be, but I'm so over expecting other people to pull their weight.
私が呆れてるのは、あんたの意地の悪さの方。
No, what I can't stand is your attitude.
徹底的に無視してるくせに、相手の反応を伺ってるなんてめめしくない？罠張って待ち受けるようなもんじゃない。
Damn. Interesting. I've never heard the word used in that way. It's pretty sissy of you to pretend to ignore him while watching his every move. Could you be any more obvious with his cheap trap?
彼の反応なんて探ってないわ。そもそも興味がないもの。それと、今のは差別発言ね。
Yeah,
めめしいという表現は女性軽視に過ぎるわ。
it's a weird way to use it. I was not watching his every move. I could care less what he does. And Madu used the word sissy, it reeks of sexism.
今の場合なら、あなたは矛盾していると言ってちょうだい。
Next time to say you're a hypocrite, okay?
うわ、自覚ありときた。
Well, look who suddenly found his soapbox. Choosing not to rise up to her roommate's jibe, Alice resumed eating. Aoko tore pieces of bread and ate them one by one, anger still visible on her face.
じゃあここからは、青崎青子としてじゃなく、共犯者としての質問ね。
Forget whatever issues you and me have for a minute, and take some advice from someone who knows a thing or two about messing with that boy.
アリス的に彼を見逃していいと思える判断材料はない？
Maybe we need to cut him some slack.
ありえないけど、実は彼も魔術師でした。なんてオチであったとしても、ここに住まわせるのは容認できない？
Oh, that would be awesome if she taught him magic. Hypothetically, let's say it turns out he's a mage too. Then would you be okay with him living here?
その理由なら認めるわ。彼を許すのではなく、そんなことに気づかなかった私たちへのペナルティとして。
Sure, but not for his benefit. I couldn't think of a more fitting punishment for you and I for not recognizing his abilities sooner.
そうね。今のは絶対にありえない話だけど、それと同じに絶対の結論もまたないわ。
So yes, hypothetically speaking, I would. But we can burn that bridge when we come to it.
彼がここに住む選択を飲む場合すらあるかもしれない。気の迷いは私にだってあるのだし。
But until then, perhaps I should accept his presence here. Perhaps not. I reserve the right to have whims of my own.
ええ、そういうことよ。
Then we're agreed.
今は私との義理とかプライドで冷静を保ってるあんただけど、あいつの努力次第で少しは。
You can keep your chilly distance out of duty to me or personal pride. But if he shows signs of improving, then maybe.
それは諦めて。彼が何をしようと無駄だから。
Dream on. It doesn't matter what he does. He'll never change.
あなたも知っていると思うけど。
As you very well know. Alice had never been the type to let her guard down around others. The young witch despised humans, having recreated so many of their objects in fairy tales.
そんなのはあんた個人のトラウマでしょ。自分の意固地さを魔女の血統云々で棚上げするのはそれこそめめしいわ。
You can't use being a witch as an excuse for every personal issue you have. Yet another example of you being sissy, if you ask me.
いいじゃない。嫌いなら嫌いではっきりしてれば。
It's fine if you dislike him. Just come out and act like it.
私が気に食わないのはね、あんたのどっちつかずの態度よ、アリス。
Stop trying to have it both ways.
どっちつかずの態度。
And what's that supposed to mean?
そう。無視するなら徹底して無視してやれって言ってるの。
That if you want to ignore him for real.
ガチガチに守りを固めて、そのくせ城門だけ開けて、獲物が油断して入ってきたら串刺しにする気満々とか、相棒として見てられないわ。
You're fortifying the castle walls while leaving the front gate wide open, waiting for him to make the horrible mistake of exactly what you're urging him to do. It's gross to watch.
あいつにできることなんて、閉ざされた門を開けることぐらいだっていうのに、その機会さえなくすのはどうなの？
If you don't want him to come inside, then shut the goddamn door already.
ごめんなさい、アオコ。もう少し簡単に言って。
I'm sorry, Aoko. You've lost me.
その例えは、ちょっと。
Say that again in plain English or Japanese. Alice seemed unable to grasp Aoko's metaphor. Meanwhile, Aoko had had enough to hear with her roommate's lack of self-awareness and was starting to lose her cool.
だから、興味ないとか言っておきながら粉かけるなってこと。あんなにチラチラ盗み見たら、あいつ変に勘違いしちゃうかもしれないでしょ？
If you really don't care, then quit worrying so much about him. If he notices you gawking at him, he might just get the wrong idea.
アリスはああ見えて、本当は自分と仲直りしたがっているに違いない。じゃあ早速部屋に押しかけてみよう。とか。
He's probably thinking, Alice looks like she wants to patch things up. Maybe I should go stop by her room. Or even worse.
そういうことになるの？
You really think so?
なる。少なくとも私だったらいい加減イライラして、話があるなら校舎裏まで決着つけかねないレベル。
Oh my god. Yes. If it were me you were doing that too, I'd be dragging you out back and smacking you senseless. Bitch. Oh my god.
そうだったのね。気をつけるわ。
Very well. I'll be more careful.
別に彼と話をする気はないんだし、私も彼を見ていたというより、彼の手足を見ていたのだし。
Oh my god. It's not like I want to talk to him anyway. And for the record, I didn't look at him exactly. Only at his arms and legs.
手足ってなんで？
And why in the world would you look at it only at his arms and legs?
手足は手足よ。彼個人には思うところはないけど、あの夜の出来事はまだ記憶に新しいから。
Because of what happened the other night, though I doubt he even remembers.
それが少しだけ気になって、つい視線で追っていたのね。
I was thinking about it and just happened to glance over at his arms and legs.
あの夜って遊園地のこと？なんかしたっけあいつ？
You mean at the amusement park? I don't remember him doing anything special. Alice's expression soured. She still felt the sting of her defeat.
飛んだでしょ彼。
You saw the way he flew through the air, didn't you?
レールの上から私のダンプティに向かって。
Off the track, straight at my dumpty.
そんなこと言ってたわね。勢いでつい1メートルぐらいだから飛んじゃったとか。
Sure. You were raving about how he flew a whole couple of feet. Aoko had not actually seen it in person, luckily. All she knew was that the spell she had placed on Soujirouu was part of the reason that he survived that jump of death. Alice, on the other hand, had observed the whole scene from the clock tower. It had only lasted an instant, but it had burned itself in her mind's eye, more than when her precious moon had fallen at Aoko's hands, and Flatsnark had come tumbling down.
でもそれがどうしたの？卵の敵討ちってわけ？
What, did she see that he showed some magical ability? Huh. So that's it. You want to get back at him for what happened to Dumpty, do you?
ダンプティは壊れるのが仕事だから、敵討ちも何もないわ。
Dumpty's
た
destruction
だ
was...
人間の体ってあんな風に動くんだなって。
Dumpty's destruction was purely business. I feel no need for retaliation. I was just intrigued to observe the movement of a human body. As it goes, for someone with as little human interaction as Alice, Soldier's leap must have appeared quite remarkable. Perhaps because his legs are orders of magnitude less capable than those of an animal in the forest. Yet, even with such feeble legs, with those meek arms of his, he managed to fly through the open air like a bird. Oh, that was Alice with the bird. In the beginning. I bet it was that flashback. Or that dream, rather. To her, it was akin to the feeling city folk get when they see a wild creature in its natural habitat.
気にしないで。機会があるならもう一度見たいと思っただけ。
Forget I mentioned it. I just hope I can witness that again someday.
別に彼に何を期待しているわけじゃないわ。
And when I say human, I am not referring to him.
なるほど。アリスのプロイって大体が人型じゃないしね。単に物珍しさで見ていただけか。
I see. It was novel for you. It makes sense considering most of your ploys have non-human forms. Aoko sighed and released the tension from her shoulders. She was disappointed to discover that Alice's behavior stemmed from simple curiosity, like that of a child with a new toy. And Alice was in no position to take issue with her reaction. And how could she? She was not entirely sure what it was that she herself was feeling.
夕食、明日は私が作るから。
I'll make dinner tomorrow.
試験前だってのに、こんなしょぼくれたもん食べさせられたら、一夜漬けする気合も湧かないわよ。
Another meal like this before exams. Gonna make it impossible to study.
ご自由に。私も手が空いて助かるわ。
No complaints from me. I certainly wouldn't mind the free time. Night came and went in the mansion. For better or worse, disturbances caused by the foreign invader had not yet caused the kettle to boil over. Huh. I wonder what she's thinking. It does definitely seem like she's warming up to him. Let's see. Yeah, I suppose I can go for another a scene or two. The next morning at 6:30, as sunlight spread out across the sky, Soujirouu walked to school with Aoko in the chilly morning air.
いい？洋館にいるときは極力一人にならないこと。
So try not to ever be alone in the house, okay? It was her intention to keep Soujirouu safe until he left the mansion. Nonetheless,
眠い。6時から登校とか、あんたも働き者ね。
God, I'm sleepy. What's the deal with going to school so early?
そうでもないよ。30分仕出しを手伝うだけだし。
I'm not. I have to pull a 30-minute shift helping with deliveries.
His work ethic was a little too strong for a student entering finals.
それより青崎、無理してないか？別にこっちに付き合うことないんだぞ。
Are you sure you're not pushing yourself too hard, Ozaki? You don't need to keep tabs on me, you know.
ご心配なく。生徒会室で仮眠取るから。約束だし、門までは一緒に行くわよ。
Oh, don't you worry. I'll catch up on sleep in the student council's room when we're done. I promised I'd walk you as far as the front gate, and I plan to stick to it. But internally, Aoko was worried. What traps did a roommate have in store for him? She could not imagine Alice had planned anything to go down in the woods, but she wanted to be safer than sorry. The least she could do was accompany Soujirouu to school. That much she was firmly committed to. Any traps that presented themselves could be dealt with on the spot. Well, not dealt with so much as destroyed, since that was Aoko's forte. But that would be enough to keep him safe for the time being.
帰り道に関しては、アリスもそこまで暇ではないと信じるしかないんだけど。
As for when you get out of school, all we can do is hope that Alice is short on free time today.
Okay.
If Alice was willing to pull out all her energy into a new trap after the first had failed, then they were as good as dead anyway. But Aoko would cross that road when she came to it. It all depended on how deep Alice's dislike of Soujirouu really went. It would have to be enough to make her abandon her pride as a witch, something she had protected fervently until now. If that were the case, Aoko knew she would never be able to keep him safe. The moment 24/7 protection became necessary was the moment she had failed. Her character led her to focus on what she could do in the here and now, and ignore the rest. And this current plan of hers was her best attempt at doing right by everyone. They left behind the Kwanji estate, and the two remained together until the residential area at the bottom of the hill, where Aoko glanced casually at Soujirouu.
ところで、何か考えてる？
So, any thoughts? Surprisingly, Soujirouu saw through her harmless question and sensed the bigger issue. How was he going to win Alice over? In fact, he had been thinking about that very question. According to his friend, there were 3 basic approaches he could take. One was the roundabout approach,
こいつは時間がかかるが最も自然だ。
This way takes the longest, but it's the most natural.
人間ってのは自分が好きなものを大切にされるとコロッと気を許しちまう。仲間意識ってやつだな。
Humans love it when you pay attention to the things they like, just as friends do.
In other words, instead of focusing on the person one wishes to win over, one should focus on their interests. It was a surprisingly mature opinion coming from Konomi. Unfortunately, Soujirouu had no idea what sort of things Alice liked. She seemed very fond of the mansion, but what could he do? Clean it for her? He sensed that would have a reverse effect. He had the distinct feeling she would not want him touching what was precious to her. Second approach was to take the inner track.
でもやっぱり本人を落とすのが一番早い。俺たちに魅力がないのなら、魅力のある外付け装備に頼るのだ。
It's the fastest way to get someone to fall for you. When you can't coast on your natural good looks and charm, that's what your wallet is for.
そう。プレゼントなんだよ、しずきくん。
You know what I'm talking about? Gifts.
A quick and dirty strategy, the assassin's strike. Manipulate someone's feelings with an expensive gift. To Soujirouu, this sounded like his best chance. The approach was easy for him to grasp, and he appreciated its simplicity. I don't think that would work on Alice, especially because he doesn't have much money at all. However, he had the same concerns as with the first. A step was missing, and without this step, the plan was bound to fail.
あとは、まあ、剣ってやつ？俺にはよくわかんないけどさ、やりすぎると悪い印象を持たれるとか殿下が言ってたな。
The only other option is, well, I guess you could call it wait and see.
I don't fully understand it myself, but they say if you try too hard, your plan's bound to backfire.
私、今落とされてるって意識させちゃダメなんだとよ。付き合った後で、あれ私落とされたと気づかせるのが上等なんだとか。
Oh, I see.
I don't fully understand it myself, but they say if you try too hard, your plan's bound to backfire. Like, you don't ever want the girl to have a sudden epiphany of, oh, now I love him. It's better that it dawns on her after you hung out together for a while. Like, wait, I think I like him.
Though Soujirouu did not quite grasp the details, he understood the basic idea. Don't press your luck. He knew that much was good advice. Yeah, he's not bad. It's pretty decent advice. He would have to try extremely hard to get on Alice's good side. And I could tell it'd be a long process to get there. I really think the food approach is a good idea. Try to cook meals for them. Soujirouu recalled the time he had wandered inside of Fox's territory in the mountains. He had left some food on the ground for the fox, and then it never bothered him again. Oh, yes, is he going to do the food thing? What is considered goodwill and kindness varies from person to person. But if there is enough goodwill from one side, regardless of whether that goodwill is reciprocated, the other side will eventually start to feel an obligation to do so. That was key.
大丈夫。考えてるよ。とりあえず自分にできることとかしたいことをしようと思う。
It's okay. I'll think of something. For now, I can only do what I can do.
安心してくれ。青崎に忠告されたことすらきちんと守る方針だ。
Don't worry. I've taken your cancel to heart, Haozaki.
Oh my god. Soujirouu seemed ready to face things head on. His answer did little to reassure Aoko, however. She found herself more concerned about his safety than ever before. Da 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 da. There we go.
学校にあるようなほうきが欲しい。
Oh my god, like a witch's broom? Alright, you guys. I think I'm not going to push. I'm going to take his advice, and I'm not going to push my luck with my voice. I think this is a pretty good stopping point right here. And hopefully by the time that we try next time, or hell, hopefully by tomorrow when I do Cold Steel, my voice will be back to normal. So until next time, guys, I will say so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, good night. You're all the sweetest of hearts. See ya.